if I come into this world and I gain all this knowledge, I learn all these skills, and I don't train or teach my kids, share with them the information that I have, when I die, I've left them with nothing. Like, hello, my people. Welcome to the Ownership and Greatness Show. I'm your host, Joe Chege. Remember, don't you settle for less. You're meant for greatness. Welcome back, guys, to another episode. And today I have a surprise guest for episode 5. She's the one who's going to be asking questions today. I just want her to introduce herself, and then we can take it from there.
Hi guys, how are you? My name is Maureen, and I'm the wife. And as Joe said, I will be asking him a few questions, and we're just gonna hold a conversation and just get to understand more of what he does and what his passion is in all that he does. Thank you.
All right, that's an amazing introduction, as you've all heard. That's my wife, Mo, and I want to do this podcast different today because I felt like it was necessary for me to break it down to you guys as to why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I hope you guys are gonna enjoy it. So let's tag along and let's see how it's gonna go. All right, babes. Now, the ball is on your court now.
I guess if just to start us off, I guess the main question and the one thing that's in all our minds is, why did you decide to start doing the podcast? Why Ownership and Greatness? What drives you? What makes you have that passion of just doing all this and giving out the message and sharing your passion and sharing what we need to hear and what we need to learn for us and for our next generation?
All right. So you were asking, why did I start this podcast? For me, I would say I've always had a conviction in my heart. You know how you're always trying to figure out what your purpose and vision is in life? And like, you've been around for a minute, you've done a ton of stuff, but you always feel like you always end up empty, right? But the one thing I know, I'm always listening to the word of God. Like, I always follow my intuition. So if I feel a conviction to do something, I always go ahead and do it, because at the end of the day, I know God might be trying to tell me something, or he might be trying to pass a message to me. And
or
so
someone else.
or use me as a vessel to pass the message to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So not too long ago, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I'll double check the date, but a couple of weeks ago, I woke up in the middle of the night. I woke up around 1:03, 1:02, and I couldn't go back to sleep. And when I woke up, I just had I could hear this sound, like I could hear this message in my mind. So what I did, I normally keep my phone right by besides my bed. So I grabbed my phone and I tried to write a note so that I can remember. But then a thought in my mind was like, no, trust me. If you write the note, you're not going to be able to put down the exact message that you have in your heart. So why don't you just wake up, since your wife is sleeping right next to you, and go downstairs and at least record it. That way, when you wake up, you'll be able to play it and maybe write it properly. So I left my room, went to the living room. Then I was like, no, if I start talking here, my son might hear me and wake up. So went downstairs to the bunker where we are right now. This is my spot where I normally do my designs and stuff. So I came to the bunker and I opened up my phone. Then I decided to vlog. So it was a short message that I felt in my heart, and I would say it was a timely message that actually spoke to me. And I believe for those who've been listening to the podcast, you've been blessed by the message that I dropped that night. And by recording that, once I was done doing it, I was like, how am I going to be able to put this message out there? I was like, I might do it on social media. Like, I can put it on Facebook, I can put it on Instagram or YouTube. But then a week before, like a week before, I was contemplating on starting a podcast. But I kept on, like, you know how you're always procrastinating about it? But when this happened, this was like the clear sign to go ahead and do it. So right there and then, I went online and I started to Google, like, how can you start a podcast? And I came through an article about using an app called Anchor. So I didn't even waste time. So I woke up at 1. I recorded this joint like from around 1:15. So it took me like 8 minutes or 10 minutes. Then instead of going back to sleep, I started figuring out how I'm going to be able to pass this message, because I had a conviction and I felt like this was not only for me. This was something that people needed to hear. This was something that needed to reach out to the people at large. So I downloaded the app. I did what they needed me. What was needed, set up everything. I thought about the name. And then I was like, how am I going to put this out? I was like, okay, I want to own up all my mistakes. I want to own up the things that are always holding me down. And I want to be able to become the best version of myself. So I was like, yeah, so I'm aiming to become great. So I was like, okay, so if I own up and I'm aiming to become great, that's ownership and greatness, right? I was like, yeah. And you know what? That actually makes sense, because there are people out here who've actually been able to own up their mistakes, and they're actually great right now because they sacrifice a ton of stuff to become who they are. And from that, they became successful and were able to build ownership for their family. So it was like a word play. They call it a double entendre or what? Can't remember the word, but something like that. So I was like, yeah, let's do this. So I set up the podcast. I figured out how to do it. Like, I'm doing it like maybe around 2-3ish. Design the logo real quick, because I'm blessed to be able to do all that. And then by morning, the podcast was live. I was on Spotify. I remember I was on YouTube and I was on Instagram.
So while we're still on that topic, I would like, everybody would like to know, where do you get your inspiration from?
Where do I get my inspiration from? I get my inspiration from life. Like, there's so much that happens around us every single day that actually inspires me. Like, I'm an observer. I like being curious. I ask questions when necessary. I observe the people around me. I read a ton of I would say, like, inspiring biographies of the rich and famous. Not only the rich and famous, but people who've done exceptionally in life. So I get inspired from stuff that they do. I have personal mentors that don't even know me personally, but people who I look up to, because I never grew, like, I was raised by a single mother. My dad died when I was young. So I've always tried to look around me and see, like, people who are successful, so that I can be able to mirror their behavior, mirror their success, and hopefully be able to accomplish great things like they've done. So my inspiration is from, I aspire to be great, and so I look up to people who've actually been able to accomplish a ton of stuff, who've been able to impact people's life, because that's my main goal, like being able to uplift and impact people's life. I love the works that Dr. Miles Monroe was able to put out there. I'm a big fan of Mr. Les Brown. So like I said, I'm an open book. I learn so much and I absorb, and I also learn from my mistakes. So that's where I draw my inspiration from.
When we talk about success, what is success to you? Just in a few words.
To answer that question, for me, success is knowing yourself, the knowledge of self. Because for some people, success is monetary value, like how much they've been able to, I would say, acquire from this earth. But for me, the knowledge of self, being able to know who I am, and being able to recognize my potential and my weaknesses, and being able to figure out how I can work around it to become a better version of myself is my success. Because I believe once I have knowledge of self, I'll be able to take care of my family. I'll be able to take care of my wife, my kids, my parents, and that gives me joy. Because once you know yourself, you're able to also be a blessing to many. It being that I'm a philanthropic person, I like being a blessing to many people. Like, that's just my weakness, or maybe it's my strength. Like, if I see someone who really needs to be assisted in one or another, I always try to step in and offer my help wherever is necessary. So for me, my biggest success, I would say, like, the most important thing that I value as success to me is being able to be a blessing to people through inspiration and through motivation. I don't account, or I don't worry about the tangible things, because if life, like, if I was rich today and I woke up and I lost everything, does that mean my goal for success or my inspiration for success is gone? So I don't put my success on, I would say, vanity or tangible things, but I put my success on how much I've been able to pour into other people, how much I've been able to inspire and uplift other people. If that makes sense to you.
It makes a lot of sense. That is quite inspirational.
Yeah.
And I guess my other question will be, where and do you see yourself in the next, like, 2-3 years?
So I'm gonna be honest with you. I always used to have, like, you know how people be like, 10 years from now, I want to be here, 5 years from now. What I would say is, 5 years from now, I want to be where God wants me to be. Why do I say that? I realize so much changes within a span of a few days or a few months, that if I say I'm going to be, let's say, on this level, I'll be putting a cap on my life. I'll be limiting myself. Why do I say that? Because you can imagine in 2019, if someone told us, like, that 2020 and 2021 we would be in the position that we are in, like, there's so much that happened within that time frame that actually changed the way I look at life. So the way I would say it is, I know I'll be here and I'll be accomplishing great things. So I don't want to put, like, a limit or a cap on my life, because I know I'm at a place where right now I'm trying to become the best version of myself. So I know within the next 5 years I'll have become better than what I am today. I'll be able to accomplish a ton of projects that I have ahead of me, being able to be impactful to the community, being able to give back to the community, being able to spend more time with my family and experience life together. So I don't want to put a cap on my aspirations or my dreams to say that I'll have accomplished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All I know is I pray and believe that I'll still be alive, and I'll still be chasing, or not only chasing, I'll still be accomplishing all the goals and aspirations that I have planned for myself. It's a journey, as you all know. It's not a race, it's a marathon. So I want to take this journey of life one step at a time, celebrating the small wins, celebrating all the achievements that I am able to make with my family. And I would say that's, like, my main goal, and where I'm hoping to be in the next 5 years.
So even as we wrap up the session, I guess the one thing you can put out there is, what are your thoughts around family working together, be it the parents with the kids, and how should we mentor the next generation and help them to be better versions of themselves, and how they can claim ownership without having to stress over small stuff?
Wow, that's a nice question. That's a really nice question. I'm a firm believer in mentoring and uplifting the next generation. And that's something I'm happy to say that we are really trying as parents in my house to impact our kids, because there's so much information, there's so much knowledge out there that was never shared to us. Like, as we grow up, we are learning so much about how to manage our finances, how to plan, to build a family, I would say, plan that's gonna last us generation to generation. We are trying to break these generational curses to be able to become financially stable, and this is something that some of us never grew up with. So what I believe is, it's each one teach one. If I gain some insight or some knowledge that I know most definitely is gonna be able to empower, impact my kids' life, or impact my nephews, my nieces, and even the future generations' life, the main goal would be to create some family SOPs that my kids are gonna be able to go back and analyze and be able to figure out, okay, now that we've started making money, how are we able to start investing the money that we have? How are we gonna be able to maintain the wealth that our parents left for us, and be able to multiply the resources that we have, so that we can continue to build this generational wealth? Because when you think about it, if I come into this world and I gain all this knowledge, I learn all these skills, and I don't train or teach my kids how, like, share with them the information that I have, when I die, I've left them with nothing. Like, it means I died full. What do I mean when I say die full? My mentor always used to say, live full and die empty. Like, make sure whatever is in you, the creativity in you, the ideas, the inspirational, I would say, like, all those great ideas that can be able to impact and transform people's life, all the information that I have to make sure I share it with the people closest to me, so that when I'm not here, when I'm no longer here, they can be able to still tap into that information and use it. Because think of it, anything that I'm doing right now, any information I'm sharing, I've already learned from it. So instead of them making the mistake to learn, they'll already have a clear plan or a clear guideline that's going to enable them to be able to move on to the next step. They're going to have like a blueprint on how to build generational wealth, how to live a spiritual, mentally, and I would say physical life. They'll be able to learn more about how they can handle their finances, how they can be able to multiply the investments, like all this stuff, all this information that we learn every single day. And this is upon every parent, any brother, any sisters that we have, like any information you have, don't be stingy. Don't hold that information, because trust me, at this time and age that we're living right now, we have to make sure we are sharing this information so that the next person can become better. Like, if I give them game right now, I believe if they put work and if they work hard until they'll be able they'll be able to go to the next level, compared to getting all this information and holding it and then leaving them without something solid. So for me, I believe when we inspire, when we uplift, when we share the knowledge that we have, it makes the future generation much better, especially with all the stuff that's going on around right now. So I would say, as a parent, as a father, as a brother, as a son to my family, whatever information and insight that I have, I'm always trying to pass it on to my family.
But of course, it has to be positive information.
Yeah, it has to be positive information. That makes sense. Yeah, that's a fact, because at the end of the day, you wanna sift.
Share, right?
Yep, you wanna make sure you're giving them the right information that's gonna make them better. At the end of the day, that's all. Like think of it. There's no way as a parent you're gonna give your kids, like, share it with your kids, like, negative information that's gonna impact them in a negative way. You always wanna give them something good, like give them a vibe that's going to be able to uplift them and make them better people in life. So for me, just being able to leave them like a blueprint that they can be able to follow is my biggest goal. And that's something I'm working on myself. Like, I'm currently trying to break these generational curses, trying to break these generational obstacles that were laid out for us, because some of us, we were never taught the importance of managing the little resources we have. We were never taught the importance of taking risks and venturing out there and building something for ourselves. And it all goes back to ownership, because once you have ownership, trust me, you have a leverage. When you own something, you have a say. When you invest in stocks in all these big companies, you have a say in those big companies. Like, it helps you move different. And think of it, if I'm able to lay a foundation for my kids right now, they won't have to go through the kind of life that I went through. Like, it's going to be a different experience.
It's going to be simpler for them.
It's going to be simpler for them. So I believe there's so much out there that we can accomplish. Like, there's so much out there. And my main goal, what I would say, or what I would kind of like encourage people to do right now, whenever you're spending time with your kids, your brothers and sisters, and you have some games, some information that you can share with them, share it with them. Come together, because like the Ubuntu saying says, it like collectively, when you work collectively together, we'll be able to move further compared to you walking alone. So think of a way where you can all come together, put your brains together, think of ideas, brainstorm ideas that can be able to be implemented and be able to uplift the life of your family, your kids, your brothers and sisters. And trust me, that's better than leaving them with nothing, if that's the word.
And yes, as you've heard it, we need to all work collectively as a family, be positive, share information, be mindful of the next generation and how we can help them step forward and be the best versions of themselves. And as you've heard it from the OG Joe himself,
and OG Mo herself.
Thank you. That was a great session.
This is the OG Joe, OG Mo segment, and this is Ownership and Greatness. Thank you, baby.